Hi everyone, welcome to Barefoot TV, which provides you with access to knowledge, wisdom and guidance to support you to transform, grow and connect with all things love, soul and spirit in your everyday lives. For those of you who are watching for the first time, I'm Leanne, the Barefoot Medium. I'm an international medium, channel, twin flame, transformational coach and author. I am absolutely passionate about connecting you with loved ones who've passed over, spirit guides, and your intuition, as well as providing access to practical knowledge and guidance, tools and techniques you can use in your everyday lives to embrace what you love, what brings you into connection with your joy, so you can be more of your authentic self. Now, kick off your shoes, sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of Barefoot TV, where I am joined by my dear friend and colleague, Sarah Anderson, or Sarah Yip, who is Australia's foremost life path specialist. She is a Brisbane-based psychic and blogger who helps people to find their purpose using numerology and palmistry, and is known for her studies of 1111 sightings and hands-on teaching approach. Sarah is an ex-environmental scientist, a UN volunteer and charity fundraiser, and believes that the bigger picture always results from our beliefs, which is why she now works at the personal rather than the global scale. She is a mother of two beautiful, adorable little boys with a great passion for self-healing, yoga and natural medicine. And Sarah joins me today to not only share her story, but to discuss the universal language of 1111 and whatever else comes out in the discussion today. So thank you so much, Sarah, for joining me.
Thank you a million. I'm so excited about this. I'm really honoured that you've asked me to join the fun and the party. So very excited about whatever happens next.
And if you can you share with viewers a little bit about your story and how you've come to be doing palmistry, numerology, 1111, whatever it is you want to share?
Well, the best way to describe it is I'm a flipper. So like a lot of people who see 1111 and repeating numbers, I had what I considered a conventional life until the evidence was too strong to deny that there was a whole other dimension waiting for me. And my background is basically science and academic achievement. So I was considered, I guess, gifted in that logical sense, and always accelerated through school, meant to be a doctor or a lawyer. And then all I can say is I reached a lot of my goals by about 24, 25 when I was at the UN, and I basically burnt out. And I really lost my confidence, and I didn't know who I was. And in the few years before then, I had taken up this hobby of palm reading, basically after a freak incident at a party where someone read my hand and was very accurate. And when you come from a logical, skeptical mindset, you're actually very vulnerable to psychic information, even psychic attack, because you honestly don't believe in it. So you don't build a fence, and you don't know where the boundaries are. So when this person was accurate, essentially I swallowed everything else they said. This is actually one of the reasons I'm so passionate now about educating people that they are spirits. Anyway, I wanted to prove this person was wrong, so I went and got a palmistry book, but instead ended up going into palmistry, and it's one of those hilarious proofs that you become what you judge, because I was extremely religious, and I absolutely did not like or believe in psychics, and here I am now trying to convince people to give us a chance, and it's a really funny life. So I've really flipped. I'm still in a bit of inner conflict around it. It's probably one of my best qualities, because it means I don't come across as really complete and together, and so people perhaps feel that they can relate. I'm very much in process still. But I guess because I'm so evidence-based, it means maybe I've brought that level of solidity to numerology and palmistry. I've got thousands and thousands of records, photos, recordings, which I believe provide a mountain of evidence that there is something there that we have been kept from. A lot of knowledge that it's been concealed because essentially it makes us bulletproof. And if people understood how powerful they were and how to use their powers, we wouldn't put up with a lot of the garbage basically that we do.
Yeah.
That's the longish version.
And I really love how you connect in the evidence-based, the science-based, because my background's a little bit similar to yours with the academic background and psychology, criminology. And criminology is very evidence-based. Like
exactly.
science.
The burden of proof is on you. The burden of proof is on you. It's really quite a good setup for being a medium, isn't it?
It is. And so, you know, when people talk about being a medium, it's completely evidence-based. And it's, you know, I'm very, very strong around, no, where's the evidence for that? And if it's a little bit wishy-washy, I won't take it. So I understand.
You get thrown out of court.
Yeah. And it's about that burden of proof for me. So it was a really good background into my mediumship and my psychic work. So I do love how you bring the science into what you do as well, because I think that's really important for our industry to know that, you know, there is evidence behind it and to be able to demonstrate that.
You've just helped me realise something, which is probably why this phone call is so phenomenal already. So my background is climate change, and climate change, I mean, you can imagine the skepticism, and that really just clicked something there, because when you can see the weather is changing in your life and the people are coming and going, and you know, the elements are trying to give you a message, that some people just stick their heads in the sand and they go, it's not my fault, it's not my issue. That's really interesting how you've brought that together. That's really helped me a lot.
Okay.
Thanks for that. Because it's about finding a fine line between personal responsibility and global responsibility, because it's not your fault that things are changing, and it's not about then beating yourself up and getting rid of yourself so you don't hurt the planet. There's got to be a fine line.
Okay, cool. So talk to me a little bit about palmistry.
Oh, palmistry, that's interesting. Well, palmistry is my first love. Palmistry is how I got into my business. Palmistry is how I met my husband. And it's funny because I always used to joke it's a really good icebreaker, a really good way to pick up. What could be more romantic than someone holding your hand and telling you nice things about yourself? Palmistry is basically a subset of body reading. Body reading is what we used to use before we had Google, LinkedIn, and Facebook. It's how we used to research people. We used to look at their actual physicality. And, you know, when you would choose someone for court, choose someone for marriage in Asia, you would look at their body, at their face, because it reveals all. And back then they didn't have effective cosmetic surgery.
No.
So, you know, you had the nose that was represented your belief systems in certain areas. So to me, it's actually really, really practical. And hand reading is accurate because I believe it shows a lot of your thought patterns, and the lines change a lot. I had a baby, and then my headline, which is my solar plexus and willpower, grew about 0.5 centimeter in a few weeks. And wow. I mean, it literally happened, and it makes sense because I didn't have drug relief. It was a huge effort for me to go through with the labor. And of course, it then showed up in my hand as this permanent tattoo of what I'd achieved in myself.
Wow.
So I love palmistry because it shows you how far you've come. It shows you where you're heading. But I suppose I felt it was still a bit wishy-washy. That's why I incorporated numbers, because the lines can change, but the numbers don't. And I really wanted to know the skeleton and the muscles, not just one or the other.
Yeah. And so I love that you've brought the numbers side into that. So talk to me about numbers, and then we'll go into the 1111 stuff.
Well, I didn't mean to get into numbers, but I was in a discount bookstore and saw this book by Max Copper, who's also in Brisbane, and it was on sale for $3.95. And I just thought, oh, I can afford that. So I brought it home, and then I was like wringing my hands going, what have I done? because it was just so accurate, and I did everyone's charts, all my ex-boyfriends, all the family, and there was so many parallels, and I mean, it was impossible. It couldn't be a coincidence. It was just be out of this world. So that started the addiction, I guess, and then I suppose numerology works for me because I believe in facts and figures. And why I like numerology the most is it's very good for skeptics, because they are the ones who need it black and white, who need it on paper. And numerology works because when you lay out someone's chart, the numbers do themselves. The person goes home and goes, oh my God, all these years represent when I made major turning points. You couldn't know that. You couldn't have changed that. That's my past. So I love that it's kind of a do-it-yourself type of regaining of trust. And I love that it's really can be done over distance. You don't need time of birth. And children really respond to it. Often you talk to them about their life path and they go, that's my lucky number.
Yeah.
I've always liked that number. That's my Jersey number. And I just find it's very simple, accessible, and it's easy to teach. You can teach it in just a few minutes, especially if the person already knows about the chakras.
Yeah, okay. So can you give people who are watching an example of one of the numbers and how it links to the chakras?
Sure. So you add your date of birth up from left to right in a system I use. There are a few systems. This is the simplest one. You add it up left to right, and then it adds to a double number for most adults. Some of the children have single numbers. That double number is your life path turning point. So if you were a plant, it would be the age at which you would be blooming, and it's a window of time. As an example, Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs from Apple, his date of birth added up to 28, which reduces to 10-1. So we call him a 28-10-1, which is the pioneer. He was here to heal his root chakra, to stand on his own 2 feet, to create independence, to be one of a kind, to be the black sheep and really own it and bring together the other black sheep until they had a safe place to be. There's a lot about survival when you have a root chakra life path. And he did that by creating Apple, which was just, it was this extraordinary company. No one had seen it before. I think people still feel like it comes from another place. And he had to start again so many times. We had how many computers completely flop or fail. He had to just keep going, and his business was in survival stage for a lot of it. But by the time he got to 28, not only was he a father, if you believe the anecdotes, there's a bit of a tussle over whether he was the father, which is very much in keeping with his root chakra life path, the family struggle. But around 28, he invented the Apple Mac.
Wow.
And the Apple Mac went on to make the world a different place. And so it just gives you that example where it seems sometimes like a small thing that will happen around your life path age, but it will color the rest of your life. For example, Nikola Tesla moved to America at 28. If he hadn't moved to America, maybe we'd never know about him. Dido, I think she's also that one. And, she released No Angel, which was it spawned a whole genre of pop stars and of that real, almost, I don't know, emo spiritual type songs. So it just gives you an example. And, that's why we use the date of birth for everything, because at a deep level we understand it is the most powerful piece of information about a person. It's actually why a lot of famous people change their life, well, not their life paths, but their dates of birth on the internet. A lot of people don't even give them out in Asia. But I guess I've taken a stand where I actually, mine is publicly known. It's on my website, because otherwise how could I possibly ask people to share theirs with me? So coming from a place where you may have information about me, but you can't hurt me with it because I know what you know.
Wow.
It is like bearing your soul once you know someone's date of birth. And I guess it's about using the information wisely, not to manipulate, but to help someone to complete their mission.
Yeah. And I really love how you connect all of that in with palmistry and with your psychic gifts and your intuitive soul work. Really is what you do. You help people connect with their path and their soul and what they're here to do. So I love how all of that connects back in with your scientific work as well.
Thank you. That's a great way to put it. So if we'd seen Steve Jobs' hand, he might have had a lot of formations at the bottom of their lifeline, which is the root chakra.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the pictures yet, but I might go look it up. It basically, numerology, astrology cards, they're all languages that allow you to access your soul contract. Numerology is just a particularly robust system. It's like a really strong set of stairs that works no matter pretty much who's using those stairs. You don't need to be magical. And once you're in the library, the date of birth and then the birth certificate name, for example, it's a combination password that allows you to see where someone has been, where they are, and where they're going. So I think of myself as basically a librarian, and it's a very sacred task, and it demands enormous amounts from me. Basically, I'm almost always in readiness. I never know when I'll need to do a chart again, and it's a little bit of, it's a sacrifice in a lot of ways, but I enjoy it.
And, you know, bringing that work into balancing family and all of that, I absolutely admire what you do. And, you know, I've watched you grow personally and spiritually for quite some time now. So, you know, I really respect the work that you do and how you balance everything. Talk to me a little bit about 1111, because you see that everywhere and I love it. And what does it mean? Because a lot of people see 1111 and often go, well, what does that number mean?
It's like asking what a rose means. There's universal meanings and there's an individual meaning that only you could know.
Yeah.
And so once people start seeing 1111, that's a hello.
Okay.
That's a hello. We'd like to get to know you, whether you consider that, you know, a group of your guides, your spirit. Some people consider it a group of basically angels who are working with the planet, 1111 angels or like masters. Well, basically, once you see it, you're getting the tap on the shoulder. And it's an opportunity for you to start seeing other dimensions of yourself. And when you look at 1111, it does look like doorways.
Yeah.
And it's like, will you choose the red pill or the blue pill? And they will try for some time to contact you. And that's why people see 1111 for years and it comes and goes. If you choose not to do anything with it, or you tell them, I don't want to see spirits, I don't want any of this juju, weirdo, witchy stuff, it will go away. And that's fine. And you just continue doing what you were doing, and the universe is not in judgment of you. It will allocate those tasks to someone else. But if you choose to go further, and this is where people get frustrated sometimes with my explanation, they're like, just tell me what to do. And I'm like, it's not about doing, it's about exploring your being. It's about becoming multifaceted. It's about having multiple sources of income, friendship, love, education. It's about alternative pathways. There isn't one thing to do. That's what you're breaking away from. So 1111 is an invitation to learn. It's an invitation to join a school or a tribe of people, and everyone is invited to join. There's no like special culty stuff around it.
No.
And what can help you to get into that groove is things like numerology, metaphysics, meditation, yoga, music. There's not one pathway. I find that 1111 appears more dramatically to people who already carry a lot of ones or 11s in their chart, or master numbers, which is where your date of birth or your name adds to 11, 22, 33, 44. And in terms of why that would be, they've actually come in to do twice the work.
Yep.
And if they don't access these higher guides and essentially use their magic powers, it can be twice as hard. And that's a shame, because it's like they miss out on all the goodness despite being a great part of creating it. They miss out on the credit.
Yeah.
So I work with a huge amount of master number carrying people, and they tend to be incredibly sensitive. So that's when they talk about the dandelions versus the orchids. Dandelions can grow anywhere, and then orchids need a greenhouse. People with a lot of master numbers, so I guess like myself, they do really need a quiet sanctuary. They do not thrive in toxic, combative environments, but that's where you're most likely to find them, because they're trying so hard to prove they're normal. They're the most likely to join the military, go into the government, marry someone who doesn't care. perhaps it is part of their journey, but sometimes I think it's because they don't have enough of their own kind around. They don't it's like they don't appreciate the gift of their sensitivity and how it actually gives them this electrical form of leadership. All leaders are incredibly sensitive. That's why they want their own office. That's why they want to climb the mountain, to get away from all the crap.
Yeah. And I love that, because with you know, I've learnt tarot and done psychic work for a long time, and I often see 1111s as well. And for me, with, you know, talking about it's, you know, what does a rose mean for you? Symbology in tarot is, well, what does the number one mean for you? And for me, it's all about that oneness, being connected with self, with soul, with spirit, with universe, with source, with God, whoever it is you believe in, and connected to that everything and nothing all at the same time, because it's all about what we can create from that uniqueness and that space of nothingness, as well as like the void that people talk about. And in the void is where we're one with ourselves and with our soul and with God and spirit and universe. And that's really what the awakening to the 1111 stuff for me was all about, is becoming more conscious and more spiritual and more connected with me. And I know there's a lot of people that talk 1111 with twin flame stuff as well. And, you know, for me,
true. That can be, that's often part of the journey. I've written so many articles on 1111. There's several reasons you would see it. It's extremely common for people to see 1111 and then meet their soulmate within the next few years.
Yeah.
It's extremely common for change careers, start their own business, look into really quite fairly healthy, organic eating, free range lifestyle. There's a number of common choices 1111ers will make. But it's not a prescription. It's just something I've noticed in the thousands of people who've basically come to me. When you look at 1111, 11 is an equal sign.
Yeah.
So it's saying, you know, every person is equal. Everyone is equal. There's only oneness. There's only one love.
Yeah.
You know, take things one step at a time. Honestly, there's hundreds of cute little phrases and memes I could make, but essentially it's an invitation. Look into your heart, because 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 4. 4 is the heart chakra.
Okay.
Look into your heart. The heart is the gateway to your library. You are, you know, an incredibly multi-dimensional person. You've actually already planned a lot of your future lives. The same way that we bookmark holidays, people have bookmarked future soulmates, future children, future destinations. This is my belief, and like we have waiting lists.
Yep. Yeah.
So we need to keep moving. Otherwise, we just, you know, block traffic, and people are like, oh, dude, I can't get into that hotel because that woman won't move out. For God's sake, get off the couch, dude.
And I love that analogy, because it reminds me of, on our last retreat here in May, we go and visit it's a volcano, a mud volcano, and it's small, that you can climb up into and take a mud bath. And, you know,
so cool.
Most people were lining up in, you know, to walk up these stairs in the sun, and it's quite hot here in Colombia. And there was one lady that was just standing under the shade of a tree, and everyone else was in the hot sun, and there was this big gap between her and getting into this volcano, and she just would not move. And so it reminds me of that, walking from one space to another. And if you're right, if someone's blocking it, or if you're blocking it, then, you know, you're holding up traffic. Keep moving.
I've been working on that in myself, even off today, because it's Mercury retrograde and a lunar eclipse. It's that time to really reflect, to, you know, big reflection time, literally. An eclipse is sudden information coming through. And I was really, I'm going to write an article on, you know, stop energy vampiring your future self. Stop stealing time, money, and options from your future self just because you're scared. It's amazing. I have a toddler, and he came up today and he said, "Mummy, help me," because he wanted to climb. Somebody said, "Help me." And I just thought, it's so easy for him. So easy for him to say, help me, because I always help him, so he still trusts. And it's an interesting, there's this idea, you see, that skeptics are people who've been hurt. Their trust was revoked because, for example, they weren't hugged or kissed or touched as babies, and so they think people only come to them when they need something, to change their nappy or to take something from them, and they never had that unconditional, continuous flow of love. So this idea of my business being about healing skeptics, it's often about getting people in touch, finding the common touch, getting them connected. And that's why I do lots of skin-to-skin contact, even in the palmistry or numerology readings, because when you are panicking and when you feel not you can still love yourself. You can still squidge your belly, as my coach was saying the other day.
Yeah. And I still remember one of our first meetings, you came and did a little mini talk at the shop that I had in Brisbane. And I still remember you talking about give yourself love by kissing.
Everybody gave themselves a hug and a kiss.
And, giving yourself a hug. And
people said they'd never done it in their whole life.
No, and it's funny. My beautiful niece is, I think she's 8. She's 8 now. Who we talk on Skype or video, and she'll often give me a really big hug towards the end of it. But what she's actually doing is that self-love, and it's just beautiful to watch. So, that physical touch for some of us who have a love language of physical touch as well, which is my love language, is really important. And I think, the art of hugging or touch that doesn't have to be, sexual in any way is really important, because technology and all sorts of things has taken away some of that.
Well, hug adds to 4. 4 is the heart chakra, and the arms and the hands are the end of the heart chakra. So when you wrap it around, you become this self-completing, self-healing being. And the best way I can describe 1111 from that perspective is it's about dominoes. It's about saying, leave the dominoes alone, stay in your business, stay on your mission, because when you fall, we all fall.
Yeah.
Like when you go into unworthiness and we all fall over, and you end up taking from this person who has to take from that person, and in the end it's a chain reaction of just scarcity and hunger. But we're encouraged to fall over. We're encouraged to fall in love. It's this energy vampiring, basically, because the person at the beginning of that cycle gets to harvest all the energy. So I do find with the 1111 is they end up questioning authority a lot around them, within themselves. And that's why a lot of the 1111ers are very much into gender equality and even balancing the masculine and feminine within themselves. So it's like stay in your business and keep growing up, because we have this culture which encourages you to not grow up. And when you look at that as a metaphor, it's terrifying. It's like, do you want to grow inwards? Do you want to become like an ingrown toenail? Why do you want to stay in Dyson? Why does it give you a rash? Sorry, I'm a mum. But even my kids, they want to grow up because they're fresh off the boat. They've been dead recently and come back for a holiday, and they're like, well, I mean, literally, when they're born, they've come back from the dead for a working holiday, and they want to grow up, because naturally we want to grow up. That's what 1111 represents. Grow up, go up, choose what lights you up, choose what lifts you, lifts your eyes, lifts your mind, lifts your heart. Because otherwise we all fall over, and instead of 1111, you just get these very sad looking brackets. I don't know.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Like pancakes. Dominoes versus pancakes.
And speaking of dominoes and pancakes, in amongst Mercury retrograde and eclipse season, and then we'll wrap up this episode. Some of the energy at the moment is really about reflecting and reviewing and redoing and rethinking and re-energizing, all those re's that are going on. But it's also like the eclipse has got us in between those two doorways you're talking about with the 1111. here's the old and here's the new, and you're kind of in a hallway that you're walking towards that new for some people, and it's there is where you're given the opportunity to grow up in some ways and let go of the old to step into more of who you are. Talk to me a bit about retrograde and eclipse stuff.
Well, we've got so many planets in retrograde that it's a wonderful time to clear away the superstition. Superstition is fossilized intuition. It's when somebody had a good idea once and have decided to copy paste it in a way that it becomes artificial and unhelpful. So maybe someone had a black cat that bit them, so now every black cat is bad. That's superstition. That is the number one reason people are not psychic, because their heads are full of superstitions. Intuition is freshly baked. It's something that comes to you in the moment and it changes. One of the challenges people have is they go, this voice told me to do this thing 10 years ago, I'm going to do it now. And I'll be like, you might want to check in because your intuition might be different now.
Yeah.
It changes all the time, like the waves. All I can suggest, I have a little bit of a visualization. It might only take 30 seconds, but if I could maybe share that with people.
Yeah, go for it. I'd love you to.
Maybe I'll practice it on you, and then we'll see if it works or not.
Thanks. I'll be guinea pig.
Yeah. You're an amazing being. It'll be fun. So I'll get you to have your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
I'll do it with you, and it's not so weird. I'll get you to close your eyes. And imagine that you're walking down a hallway and you can hear your feet on the floor and you're very present in your body. And you look behind you and you just have that sense you're never going back. And maybe you even see a door appear in the hallway that blocks that. And in front of that door, you're going to place a bodyguard. So you might put an angel, you might put a dog, you might put a cartoon character, and you're going to put them there. And I'm going to get you to say these words. Please stay here.
Please stay.
I'll get you to say this out loud. And keep me.
And keep me.
Moving forwards.
Moving forwards.
And then let me know when they agree, which they might do by nodding or just saying yes.
Yep.
And then just for fun, I want you to imagine you could attach them to an air pump and pump them up to 10 times their size, just to make it really effective as a boundary.
Yep.
Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to test the boundary. So we're going to imagine that up ahead. We're going to imagine that up ahead is someone you don't like, because this happens during Mercury retrograde. Someone you don't like, something you don't want to deal with, like a bill. You see it and you go, oh God, let's go back. So I want you to imagine you turn around and you run straight into that thing/person that you just blew up into a really mega-sized, friendly guardian. So run into it and you're going to bounce off it. Try again. Run into it, bounce off it. Run into it, bounce off it until it starts giggling because you're tickling it. How does it feel?
Feels a lot lighter.
Okay, so here's a trick. If you ask this guardian to move out of your way 10 times out loud, it will leave and you can go back to your old habits or addictions. Do you want to do that, or do you want to turn around again?
Nope. Forward.
Okay. And you know what? Some people, they may ask that 10 times because we have free will. So turn around. Now just imagine that that guardian is going to now follow you down the hallway, now that it's all tickled pink and excited and high vibration, and goes through the obstacle. I want you to walk through the obstacle and feel that in your body. Walk through the obstacle. Visualize yourself walking through it. And then imagine that as you walk through it, the guardian comes and it just takes the rest and it puts it in a garbage bin. It cleans up whatever was behind you. And you're just going to keep walking and you just feel that guardian behind you and it's just going to keep you on track. How do you feel?
Good.
Okay, so take a deep breath in and then breathe out. And as you breathe out, I want you to expand a beautiful set of wings out your back, right up to the sky. And I get you to put a beautiful crown on your head. Polish it if you need to. Now imagine a big ball of white light in your hands. And you're going to push that into your stomach now. And then you're going to light yourself up from the inside. You're going to feel that beautiful bright light fill your entire body and dissolve any stress, tension, or fear. Until the white light pours out and you are encased in a beautiful, pure bubble. So you can do this exercise anytime you're not feeling whole and you're not feeling good enough. The wings, the halo, push the white light back in, give your power back. So big breath in. And as you breathe out, wiggle your toes. You can keep the bubble on. And you're welcome to open your eyes.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's fun, isn't it?
So much for sharing that. That was fun.
It's really fun, especially if you blow up the Guardian to like 10 times their size.
Yeah. And look, with your work, my mediumship work and my spiritual work, I have, like we all do, we have our guides, and I have the protector guide, who I often call my bouncer guide.
Oh, good. Yes. I call mine Shrek.
Okay, nice. So it's kind of like the bouncer at the, so mine's kind of like the bouncer at the door of the nightclub or the pub. And, you know, so I kind of
saw you bounce off them. You got to bounce off them. That's the fun part. And when you just go, wow, this is kind of giving me a bit of a message that I can't go back.
Yeah. And so it was kind of like
the reason they hired the bouncer.
Michelin man with the, you know, the big inflatable things that kind of blew up in that way. So it was awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing that.
You're welcome. I use Shrek personally, and what I imagine is that when people are annoying me, he this sounds terrible, but he farts at them. Or he sits on them. He actually sits on them until they're like, ee! And for some reason that works for me really well.
And knowing your sense of humor, I love that.
I have a huge struggle sometimes. I have a huge struggle saying no, because I easily feel guilty. That my soft spot is my solar plexus. So what I've done is I've installed an enormous ring of Shreks. I call it my ring of green.
Nice.
And I just, when they get angry, they fart, and it just works. So all I can say, this probably was supposed to be a serious call, but if it makes you laugh, it's actually really high vibration. Do more of it.
Yeah. And look, you know, being really serious is not necessarily part of spirituality. It's about connecting with your joy and what uplifts your soul. And so, you know, laughter is one of those things. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your energy, and you know, who you are with our viewers. And I so appreciate it. And for sharing that process with me.
One tiny quote.
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
Super welcome. Can I say one tiny quote, and then I will shush? My friend Sean from Palmistry, he actually said, "God is I think it's a quote from somewhere, but God is a comedian we're too afraid to laugh at." And what I realized is that when you start laughing and you access that God part of yourself, that's when everything just starts happening, and what you will becomes divine will, and it becomes manifest. Yeah. But without the laughter, without the pleasure, without the fun, there's no compassion behind your actions, and so your intentions don't come true. So if you're not in a place where you're laughing at yourself regularly, you can't find something to enjoy, it's really time to take a break rather than keep messing up your life. I guess that would be my encouragement for myself and anyone else like watching today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And can you share with people who are watching where they can connect with you if they want to learn more about what you do or book in a session with you?
Well, first I need to warn people that they may start seeing a lot of 1111 after this, but it's a good thing. Just remember, it's a good thing. Okay, so it's sarahyip.com, SARAHYIP.com, no AU, just .com. Facebook, The Numbers Queen, and the full name is The Numbers Queen 1111 Numerology by Sarah Yip, but just The Numbers Queen. Instagram, Sarah Yip 1111, and I have hundreds of articles, hundreds of tips and it's all right there for your happy little heart to play with. Because honestly, having come from a background of fundraising, I'm extremely believing that we need to educate. We really need to educate, and if it needs to be free so that more people, or especially skeptics, are willing to try it, the equivalent of my $3.95 numerology book experience, that's okay. It'll get you over the fence.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you really like that, I also have paid readings, workshops, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So thank you, Leanne.
Awesome.
And you really are the cleanest and coolest psychic I've ever met, and I'm so grateful, because when I worked with you, that's when my career went through the roof, and I got the 97.3 job, because I had this safe nest where I could bring all these new fledglings to spread their wings. So you were an instrumental part of my success, and I'm extremely grateful, and I wish you a lot of tastiness in your life.
Oh, thank you. And it was so much a pleasure to work with you and connect with you when we did, and to reconnect with you now and continue working together in different ways and sharing our knowledge and wisdom and educating people, which I love as well.
Thank you. So 1111 is universal peace sign, and I can be super Asian now. Look, we invented it. No, we didn't. But look, this is 1111 in progress, and it's just like wishing people peace. It's the missing link, and it's the link that will get you through the door into what you want in life. So awesome. Thanks a million.
Thank you. And thank you everybody else for watching today's episode of Barefoot TV. If you'd like to connect with me further, jump on my website, thebarefootmedium.com.au, for readings, coaching, or come and join my partner and I for our next retreat, which is in September, or in May, September every year here in Colombia, South America. So thank you all so much for joining me. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're with, I wish you love, joy, and happiness. And of course, like Sarah says, peace.
1111 peace.
And we will see you on the next episode of Barefoot TV.